Greetings, kiddos. So, this is not clickbait. I legit had a slave for like a week and a half. It was an interesting experience, to say the very, very least. Call me old fashioned, but as a black person, treating someone like chattel, like I own them, like a slave, just rubs me the wrong way. It just rubs me the wrong way. It just feels something just very wrong, innately wrong with the whole concept of owning a person. So why the fuck would I do it? Honestly, I just wanted to see what it would be like. And I sure did. I sure did. I did not want all that motherfucking smoke. I can tell you that. I think first and foremost, it is nice to be admired. This particular slave of mine was into muscle worship, which, I mean, I'm down. I'm a person who's trying to bulk up, and so having someone kind of in your corner is helpful to, I don't know, kind of reinforce what you're doing is like the right thing. It's rather flattering to have someone interested in your process and interested in seeing you succeed and wanting to be a part of that. It's flattering. It's not so much the interaction itself, it's more the reinforcement slash motivation to keep going, to keep pushing. And I'm not a person that needs that like every day or even every week. Maybe like a few times a month would be good for me. So we're already reached our first impasse. And of course, in all experiences pertaining to yourself, all studies pertaining to yourself, you are the expert. But it is also kind of helpful to have someone not so much molding your experience for you, but adding depth and perspective by seeing it another way. It is helpful in reaching a goal to have other people's perspectives to kind of help you temper how you know, shape your experience, shape the process. And unless you're fucking omniscient, you're not going to have all the perspectives there are to have. And when I think about it, as far as dominant submissive relationships go, I'm kind of super fucking boring. I'm kind of passive. I would call myself passive because I'm not particularly interested in being the dominant figure, and I'm not particularly interested in submitting to anybody. I just want to get the experience over with as soon as possible. And I think, as far as like kink goes, the intimacy of the experience without sex, I'm not really a fan of. I'm not into intimate relationships with people, but also I'm not interested in sexual relationships with people because that's also really intimate in a way that I just find fucking uncomfortable. And one of the components of like dom submissive experiences I've found as being a person that's kind of fast tracked into being dominant, I don't like to have to fucking think of things. I don't like having to think of things. I don't like having to like be the arbiter of our experience, to be the person that's in charge of, figuring things out, playing out scenarios and shit like that. I don't like having to fucking think of things. And one thing that really gets on my fucking nerves is the thing that Dig would do a lot. If there was any stakes involved, he would want to wager on it. He would want to like make bets, and he's like, "Well, I'll have to do this. So what would you have to do if you lost the bet?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I don't even want to fucking participate. I don't want to participate, so I don't want to be punished for it. I just..." And to come back to this experience with my slave, it feels weird saying that shit. It feels fucking weird saying it. This guy was in it for the long haul, let me tell you. Like, he was interested in having a relationship with me where he would worship my muscles, and then eventually I would come to live with him. I would be living with this nigga in his house, and he wanted to like have gym equipment for me in like the house, and then also get me like personal trainers and stuff to help me to actualize this goal. And he wants to, interact with me in other ways after I've worked out. He wants to like consume my sweat and be covered in it and all that kind of stuff. And like, while that whole concept isn't disgusting to me. Doing it is a whole other fucking thing. It's different. It doesn't make me uncomfortable to conceptualize it. But that life would be uncomfortable for me. I could tell you that much. I could And this was a thing that lasted like a week and a half because the shit is exhausting. It's exhausting. I don't like I said, I don't like having to come up with shit. I don't like having to think of shit like scenarios and stuff because this is like an online kind of thing. It's not in person and it would be fucking weird in person. Like that is without the interface of like having like a screen in between me and this other person, it's a lot easier to say wild, outlandish shit. But in person, I would feel fucking ridiculous because it's very easy to feign not giving a shit when they can't see you. But when they can see you and your affect isn't matching the things that are coming out of your mouth, it's a little bit different. I try to think about it like sexual, not even role play, like just the act of sex or sexual scenarios, just general times where things might get a little bit sexy. I like to explain it this way because it feels like very much like when you're hanging out with a little kid. And this is we're going into weird territory now, but like let me stick with me for a second. If you're hanging out with this like little kid and this little kid wants to play make believe, little kid wants to play make believe, and so I'm a dragon now, and it's fun for you to interact with this kid and the kid's having fun, and so you're enriching their experience, you're doing things that would help them to have fun, but you're not really getting that same enrichment out of it, if that makes sense. And playing make believe with a kid, you have to suspend your disbelief in many ways. The kid is living this shit. You are playing, and it's not necessarily a bad experience. You like to fulfill this kid's wish to slay a dragon, but you're not really getting anything out of it. That's what sex is to me. Is like playing make believe with a child. That that's really how it boils down. To me, sex is interesting, but I don't really have the need or urge to participate in sexual encounters with other people because it feels fucking ridiculous. Like, because I don't get anything out of it. And doing that, pretending that way, is exhausting. It's exhausting. Like, imagine having to play make believe with a kid every single day for hours. Who wants to do that? I don't. I don't. Like, I get like playing is fun, but like eventually it gets real fucking old real quick. It's I don't get anything out of it. I don't get anything out of it. And it's just overall a draining experience. And of course, this isn't the first time this has happened. I get inquiries about whether or not I can enslave a person or put things in their butthole rather frequently. I would say within a week, maybe 5 to 6 people. Like, and I'm not talking like how your friends will say, like, oh, you look really good, step on me. I mean, people like seriously wanting to be crushed. I've gotten people in my DMs asking me to role play as a giant, and they appear in my toilet and they're like, what are you gonna do? What cruel things are you gonna do to me? I'm just in your toilet at your mercy. What are you gonna do to me? Are you gonna shit on my face? Are you gonna pee on me? Like stuff like that, where I'm like, I mean, I could do this for maybe an hour, but I don't want to keep doing this. Stuff where it's not necessarily like disgusting to me, but it is extremely draining to kind of put on that mask and be that person for extended periods of time. Like I could do it for like an hour, maybe like every other day. But this is a daily thing. Like this is happening all the fucking time. And so I I just mostly ignore it, but sometimes it is interesting just because I get so many inquiries about pegging and doming and enslaving. I think when I was younger, this would be something that would be easier for me to partake in, because I had such a disconnect with humanity and my own humanity. Uh, and I try to rehumanize myself, to be less of a fucking misanthrope and think of people as ants by helping people. I found that helping people makes me feel a little bit more human. And it makes people feel human. And regardless of if I think they're stupid or they're a waste of time, helping people is good for me. Helping people and doing these videos, it's helpful to reconnect me to my humanity, I feel. And having people come out the woodworks wanting me to think of them as inferior is not um it's not something that I particularly want to do, even though I feel like I could make a lot of money because like I'm kind of a big ass motherfucker. I'm 5'8", which is not like small, especially for like a AFAB person, and I'm brown, which apparently is a little bit more in than it was before. And especially like the type of brown that I am, I'm like not light skinned, but like brown and approachable. Happy Black History Month. Like for real, I feel like I'm a marketable person when it comes to being dominant. I look like I am dominant, and I appear like I am dominant. I dress very, not provocatively, but like confidently. I carry myself confidently, and that very much appeals to a lot of people in certain demographics. But honestly, I couldn't think of another person as my slave. I think in that there is a degree of not cruelty, but self-aggrandizement, that you're thinking yourself as superior to another person, um and not doing things that are like malicious, like flogging somebody or punishing somebody. I'm just saying, in the way that you have a slave, there has to be some self-aggrandizement in there. There, like, it's impossible to do, right? Unless you think of yourself as a person that could be superior to someone else. And again, this is not in the way of, someone being cruel to someone. I'm just saying, this is my slave and I do nice things for them. You still have like this supremacy. But when you're doing cruel things to them, I feel like it's probably worse because you feel like they deserve what they're getting. But I actually don't know. I don't really get it because that's not me. And so maybe I should stop speaking on things I don't fucking understand. But it's also a thing that has entered my life. And so it's a thing that I think about. And honestly, I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it. Because it's definitely been an interesting experience, that I've kind of stuck my toes in, not too deep, and found that it's probably not for me, but definitely is something that I am suited for, that I am asked to do often. Yeah, it's just wild.